Okay, so here I'm going to show a random trigger destroy. Let me show you how it works first, and then I'll talk about the code. So we'll just start off, and this is an enemy instantiation thing I want to talk about later, but for now we've got these three pillars holding up two bridges, let's call them bridges, and as I get closer, one collapses. So what's happening? If I go to Trigger Cube and we turn on the mesh renderer, we can see that what's happening is we're getting too close to this trigger cube, which causes one of the cylinders to get destroyed, causing the bridge to collapse. And now the one in the middle got collapsed. So it's a random destruction, and it's triggered by us going near that cube. So let's talk about the cube first. Notice this is just a regular Unity cube. It does have a box collider on it that is turned to that is checked to is trigger, and the size on that has been increased for the collider so that it's easy to bump into it and kind of invade its space. And the mesh renderer is on or off. It's up to you if you want the player to see whatever the object is or not. It could be a trash can in a game that the player gets near to, and then the whole landscape changes, or streets collapse, or enemies get instantiated, or whatever. It's a really powerful combo to trigger and then cause something to destroy or instantiate or change color or whatever. Now to do this, all I have is three cylinders: cylinder 1, cylinder 2, and cylinder 3, as well as bridge 1 and bridge 2. Those are just Unity cubes that have a rigid body on them, so they have gravity. So when we destroy one of these cylinders, this thing is obviously going to fall. Okay? So then on Trigger Cube, we do have some code called trigger random collapse, right? So now let's look at that code. First of all, we set up a random number, and we'll leave that at 0. And then we have a function called onTriggerInner. I use this a lot. And where onTriggerInner works by setting up a variable like collider. We're going to call it call for collider, and it is a collider type. And then if the thing that enters this area, this trigger area, happens to have a tag of player, and let's go back to the game for a second, first person controller, notice that I'm tagged as player, right? If you don't have that, it won't work. Then if that test is true, then random number, we're going to run random number, a variable, and tie that to a random range of 0 to 3. And when I have random range set to 0 to 3, it's going to be either 0, 1, or 2. It is never the upper limit, right? That's just how that works. So if random number is equal to 0, then destroy game object find cylinder 1. It's going to find that game object and destroy it immediately. And if it's random number is 1, it's going to destroy cylinder 2. And random number, if it's 2, is going to destroy cylinder 3. And that's all there is to it. So if we go back in, make sure that that code is on your trigger cube, make sure that your player is actually tagged as player, make sure that these have rigid bodies, make sure that these names, like cylinder 2, actually matches the name here, right? If you have all those pieces in place, it should work. And that's how to do that. Now I'm going to show you another one. This is for enemy instantiation, right? And before I do that, I should show you where to find some of these things. On 3dcognition.com, if you go to Tutorials, Unity, you can see a blog post on several of these game mechanics. For instance, if you want to understand Unity triggers better, or Unity collisions where you can shoot something and it detects it was shot. Random mechanics in Unity, so if you want one of the pillars to just collapse or get destroyed as soon as the game starts or the level starts, this covers that. Random Unity trigger random destroy is the one we just talked about, and there's the code. You can just cut it and paste it. And then this other one, Unity random enemy instantiation. Enemy instantiation is just going to show you how to create enemies, and I'll give you a demo right now. So I play the game, and I see on the right my green beast enemy got instantiated. So I'm going to shoot him. And it takes a second and he gets destroyed, but as soon as he's destroyed, we get the red ogre instantiated. So then he's destroyed, but another one took his place. And now he's destroyed, and now we have another green beast. And now he's destroyed, and there's another green beast. So you see, it's kind of a random behavior. Let's destroy him again. Now we have the red ogre again. So what it's doing is, as soon as we have anything less than one enemy, another enemy gets instantiated. And notice that the code for all this is using an enemy spawn basic script, which you can find right here. And that script is going to have a prefab for red ogre and green beast, which are in my prefabs. There's green beast, there's red ogre. Notice that these have an enemy hit script on them, which I also have included over here. This is just an empty game object holding all this code. We also have two spawn positions. Spawn location 1 and spawn location 2 are both dragged and dropped into this position so that I can determine where any given enemy is going to end up. And that's it in a nutshell. If you want to see the whole thing, just go to 3dcognition.com and look for Unity Random Enemy Instantiation.